Hey, I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of the Building a Brand podcast series. I am your host, Jeremy Patton, and today we have another exciting episode for you. We are going to discuss the concept of not being afraid to ask for help. This one is a dear concept to my heart because I am one of those people that has a will, or as they say, if there's a will, there's a way. So I'm one of those people where if I do have a will to get something done, or if I am determined to get something done, then I will find a way to get it done. Regardless of how long it takes, regardless of how difficult it is, regardless of the different hurdles I have to go through in order to get it done. So I am one of the a person that does find it difficult to ask for help because of that. And a lot of people also find it difficult to ask for help because they have a fear with that connotation of asking for help. There is a certain level of vulnerability that comes with asking for help that you have to have. And also, we live in a society where any kind of form of weakness is looked down upon. So many people, and for a variety of any of those reasons, they tend not to ask for help. And so I want to break some of those things down and discuss some of the research that I have come across and some of my opinions behind asking for help. So, first and foremost, again, a lot of people have the fear of asking for help. There is a vulnerability behind asking for help. One, you have to express and you have to acknowledge that there is an aspect or area in your life that you need help with. And two, you have to also open yourself up to being rejected. So that fear is on the back end of asking for help as well. And a combination of those things, it prevents a lot of people from asking for help. A lot of us are taught to be strong. A lot of us have a persona where we have to be strong and we have to know what we're doing. We have to be able to figure it out. We have to, there's the phrase, especially for men, to man up and handle it. And women have their own form of that as well, where it's like, you can't ask for help. And as a society, I think we steer away from that, our willingness to put ourselves out there in regards to asking for help. And we have to not only overlook those fears, but we have to overcome those fears. Right. And it, at the end of the day, anybody that is successful professionally or, successful as an entrepreneur, if you look into their memoirs, if you look into what they state publicly, they all will tell you that they had a mentor somewhere down the line. And through their mentor, they were able to ask for help. They were able to get answers and clarity on different situations and different phases of their life and of their career that they're going through. The truth of the matter is, no one person has all the answers. And especially no one person that is first going through a particular situation or a particular phase. You're not going to have all the answers. Yes, you can figure it out, but again, there is going to be a struggle because we're not meant to, or we are not fully capable of getting through situations where we don't know how to operate or how to move or how to think and what to do. And so with that being said, it's best to reach out. It's best to get a mentor. It's best to find somebody that can help you and to seek the help that you need. Because otherwise you are really setting yourself up for failure. You're really setting yourself up to fail at the end of the day. So asking for help and finding that mentor. Like I said, if every successful person or most successful people all mention that they had a mentor, or that when they got a mentor, that was the change that they needed, that was the pivotal point of their life. You hear all the time, I tried to go this route or try to go that route. And whether that is in their career, or in school or as an adolescent. And it wasn't until they found that mentor that they're able to get not only the insight that they needed, but were also able to get that courage reinforced and, given to them. Sometimes all we need is a little encouragement that we are doing things correctly, or we are doing things on the right path. So finding and seeking that kind of help definitely will propel you forward in whatever situation that you're in, or whether that is with finding clarity, whether that is with making a more sound decision, or getting that boost of encouragement and enlightenment that you are on the right path. So for those reasons, definitely ask for help. Also, some people, like, you could get so much further by asking for help. Like I said, when you do not ask for help and you are going through a journey or through a situation where you don't know the way, you don't know your path, you don't know how to get through whatever situation you're going through, that clarity, that reinforcement of encouragement, the suggestions that come behind, and the assistance as well, will help you get a lot further, a lot quicker. I remember I once moved and I switched. I was moving apartments and packing up and moving everything from my old apartment was really and truly, it was something that I was able to do as far as like leaving my first initial apartment. I remember clear as day. I was sitting there and I didn't have anything that was too heavy or anything that I couldn't put on a dolly or anything like that. And for whatever reason, like everybody that, I initially reached out for help wasn't available that particular day that I needed to move. Or, I think somebody said that they would, but it turned out that they had, something came up, they weren't able to. And so I packed up, I already had my apartment packed. And so I was moving everything out. I got everything out of the house, but there was my bed. Now I have like a 15-inch queen size bed that I don't know how heavy this thing is, but just trying to wrap my arms around it or grab it, and I would either have to pull it and potentially damage it from it dragging on the asphalt. It would definitely get dirty. And so when I was leaving out of my apartment, thankfully I had a neighbor that was actually just moving in, and I offered to help them with moving in. They didn't accept my help or my offer at the time. I think they had extra people coming or something like that. But the guy that I initially saw and I initially offered to help him, he happened to be walking by when I was moving my bed. And, of course I wasn't going to ask for help because I was headstrong on doing it myself. And he saw me struggling and was like, "Hey man, you need help?" And it took me a minute to say yes. And once I said yes, he picked it up, grabbed it, and 10 seconds later, my bed was in the truck. And it's literally that simple, and even though in that situation I was not able or strong enough or at a point to be vulnerable enough to ask for help. It's, like I said, with his help, we were able to get the bed off the ground and move it into the truck within like 10, 15 seconds. So fast forward a bit, I get to the new apartment, I move everything in. What's the last item? Of course, the bed. At this point in time, there is a rainstorm coming through. And I'm thinking about all my options and looking at the path to my new apartment. There's gravel, there's loose rocks. There's not a clear pathway for me to, easily maneuver the bed and even drag it in if I wanted to. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting and trying to come up with a plan to move my bed. And randomly at the point in time where I was ready to just give in and drag my bed through the dirt, the mud, the water, all that, somebody walks by and I was able to, at that point, I just knew what I had to do. Excuse me. He turned around. It's like, I hate to bother you. I know it's raining. I have one item, which is my bed in the back of the truck. My apartment is right there. And I asked him to help me move my bed into my unit. It was on the ground floor, thankfully, because I doubt or know if I would have had the courage to ask him to move it up several flights of stairs. But he said, "Yeah, no problem. Let's get it." And so he put down his umbrella. We're both getting rained on, but we were able to move the bed from the truck into the unit within 2 minutes. He went back out, grabbed his umbrella, and was on his way. I locked my apartment. It got the keys to the truck, took the truck back. And just as simple as that, if I didn't have the courage to ask that guy for help, then I would have been sitting there struggling to drag my bed through, like I said, the dirt, through the mud, through the gravel, and it would have been it could have possibly been ruined. And so, again, you get further a lot faster when you do ask for help. And when you have to receive the help, but you have to be willing to ask for help in order to potentially receive that help on the front end. Now, another thing that I want to address is within the Black community, we are taught to be strong. We are taught to keep all of our issues inside, keep it in the family, get through whatever you are going through, figure it out yourself. And I think that this sets a lot of people up for failure because, again, nobody has all the tools. Nobody has all the resources. Nobody has all the answers. And if we have or consistently push this mindset, then we are leaving opportunity for growth on the table. And that we have to get over that. That's something, again, that I think impacts me personally. And I think that I see it impacting so many other people. I see so many people, friends, family members, people I don't know, whether it's on social media or out in public. Maybe it might be at work or a coworker or something along the lines of that I see, that I know that are going through different issues in life or going through different stages in their life, and they don't know how to navigate. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do next. They don't know, how to get through whatever situation that they're going through. And you hear the term strong Black woman, and that puts into the mindset of Black women that they have to be fierce, that they have to be strong at all times. And you hear a lot of people speak out about this. And especially in today's day and age, like celebrities and influencers, that they have their voice is a lot larger than other people. So when they speak out about it, you see so many other people that are not famous or that are not well known, come forward and say, yes, I experienced that too. Yes, I'm struggling with that issue as well. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, tying this back into the framework of this podcast, you want to make sure to be vulnerable enough to ask for help when you need help. You want to make sure to be okay with, one, being judged, and two, being strong enough to ask for help. Because at the end of the day, so many people are so reserved where they're not asking for help. And so it's looked at as a weakness when you do ask for help, but really and truly, it's a strength because you're vulnerable enough to ask for help. You're vulnerable enough to acknowledge, hey, this is an area or this is something that I need assistance with. So again, as an entrepreneur, just be open to asking for help. And this help could be from, it could be from a family member. It could be from a friend. It could be from somebody that you may know, like an acquaintance. If you are, as a business owner, there's different ways where you could connect with other business owners, whether that is at like networking events, that could be via social media. LinkedIn's a really good one. There are so many people on LinkedIn that are experienced in specific areas and that are willing to offer, or not even offer, but that are willing to help you out, that are willing to answer a few questions, or that may be willing to, sit down with you over, a coffee or over a lunch and discuss whatever it is that you are seeking help with. But again, you have to be willing to be vulnerable enough to put yourself out there and seek that help. And studies have shown there are a lot of articles and a lot of studies that have been done around asking for help, the psychology behind it, the willingness of other people. And studies have shown that ample amount of people are willing to help out where they can. Now, obviously, nobody wants to be put at an inconvenience, but if you can, if somebody reaches out to me and asks me for help and it's not going to be an inconvenience for me, or even if it is going to be an inconvenience for me, I tend to say yes, and I tend to offer, or I tend to, agree to help that person out. And you have so many other people that don't mind that to help out either. And so I had this topic actually on my schedule to do for a while. And as I was leading up to this particular episode, I was doing research on this topic. And again, there's so much research out there. There's so many different articles that talk about it. There's so many different celebrities or high profile names that discuss, asking for help or not being strong all the time and being okay with needing assistance and being vulnerable enough to ask for help. That you have the mental health mindset or the mental health aspect as well, where people don't seek help for mental health. And so they go through all these different issues on their own, and it burdens them, right? It brings them back, it holds them down, and it prevents them from performing. It prevents them from functioning at a normal level. And especially as an entrepreneur, I tell people all the time that mental health is key. It's like I would say it's the number one thing that you need to make sure is in order when you are starting your business, and really and truly, as long as it takes, as you are, in business. And even if you are not an entrepreneur, make sure to maintain your mental health. Make sure that you have different avenues and different ways where you are analyzing where you are mentally health wise, and where you are able to get assistance, and especially professional assistance as well. As an entrepreneur, you go through so many different emotions and so many different ups and downs, and trials and errors, and so many different things that weigh heavy on your mind. There will be times where you lose friends, where you lose family members, where you may feel like either the public is judging you, and you have to be able to balance all those emotions, and you have to be able to overcome them. You have to be able to develop thick skin in order to get through some of those emotions and mindsets that are going to come. However, at times where you are struggling, you have to be vulnerable, strong enough to be vulnerable enough to seek help, to ask for help. And it doesn't even, let's say it's not a professional, because a lot of people feel like, well, if I go to seek help from a therapist, or then there's something then there's something psychologically wrong with me. No, as humans, we're not designed to handle all of the chaos that we deal with. There's a lot of chaos going on in the world. And then as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of chaos as an entrepreneur. As a human being, there's a lot of chaos in your personal life. And so we are not designed to be able to operate at a high level with everything on our minds, and with everything weighing heavy on our minds and in our mental space, taking up so much mental space. And with social media, with as rapid as information is available, with the advancement of video technology, you could see different things that are going on around the world, and it's more vivid, and it's more rapid, and it's constantly happening. It's constantly in your face, and trying to balance that and being an entrepreneur, it could be difficult at times. So you have to have, again, the willingness to seek help, whether that's a friend, a family member, or a professional. And for those of you that don't know, therapy is not expensive. You can find a therapist for under $100, depending on where you're at, depending on who you find. You can find a therapist for a really inexpensive price. Now, I don't know if there's any free resources, but I'm sure there are, right? Just do a Google search. And especially with the advancement of technology, you don't even have to go into an office. You could set up a Zoom appointment and be on the phone in your car, or in your office space, or wherever you feel comfortable doing your Zoom appointment. You could be at a park and you could do a Zoom appointment. But having that willingness to ask for the help, right? Now, I want to bring up this article that I found. Again, as I was leading up to this episode, there have been actually a handful of different articles from credible sources that came out with studies and their own research on this particular topic. So I know that this is something that is weighing heavy on a lot of people's minds, or it's something that a lot of people are struggling with as far as asking for help. And so one of the articles that I came across in researching was from WebMD. I don't have the name of the article, unfortunately, but they listed out how they suggest to ask for help, right? And it says that you should make a SMART request. Now, SMART is an acronym, and SMART refers to specific, meaningful, action, real, and time bound, right? And so they suggest or recommend that whenever you ask for help, you need to be detailed about what you need and make sure you ask for help that is specific. So they say don't leave room for interpretation or you may not get the help you expect. So whatever you need help with, you want to specifically say, hey, I need help with this particular situation, and this is how I need your help, right? That way you are clear about the situation and you're clear about the type of assistance you need. Then they say to make sure it's meaningful, explain why you need the help, right? You want to... at this point, you're seeking help. So you have to be willing to communicate, right? You have to be vulnerable and put whatever your situation is, whether it's a situation where you just don't know what you're doing. It's a situation where you need assistance to get through what you're going through, or anything. You have to be willing to communicate why specifically you need the help. It'll go a lot further, and it will show and create a form of trust per se. Because if you are able to explain why you need the help, then you are at least acknowledging, what area or aspect you're lacking in as far as the reason behind why you need the help. So the third is that it's action oriented. So you want to make sure that there is a specific task or a specific goal, and you want to make sure that whatever that task or that goal is, by getting that type of help from that particular individual, you will either reach that goal or get through that task, right? You don't want to say, hey, you don't want to ask for help and not have the end goal in mind, because you can ask for help and you may receive help, but the help you receive, if it doesn't help you get through the situation or the circumstance that you're going through, or it doesn't help give you clarity, or, whatever the desired outcome is or that you need, if you don't state those things, then you're going to find yourself in the same situation. You're going to have to either reach back out and ask for help, or you're going to have to find somebody else to ask for help. So keep that in mind. Then for R, it says make sure that it's real. Don't make up a request for help if it isn't necessary. So if you don't need help, it's kind of like the girl that cried wolf, right? I went to town screaming, wolf, wolf, wolf. And the whole town ran to save this girl from this wolf. The girl, a few days later, the girl shows back up to the town. Wolf, 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 screams wolf at the top of the hill. The whole town runs up to help the girl. There's no wolf. And you know what they say. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you again. Fool me 3 times. Well, you know what the phrase is. It's kind of the same situation, right? After a few times of her screaming and crying wolf, nobody is at the same level of urgency or the same level of willing to help out, right? They're not as alert and not as, as quick to respond to her crying for Wolf anymore, because she cried for Wolf a few times and the whole town dropped what they were doing. They ran to help her out, and it was a false alarm. Not even a false alarm. It was a fake alarm. So she's strolling through the third time, and guess what? She sees the actual wolf and staring right there at her. She screams, "Wolf, wolf, wolf." The entire town hears her. And the entire town made up in their mind that they're not going to help her this time. That they have already, on multiple occasions, that when you drop everything or you try to help people out, and especially if you care about them or if it's like dear to your heart or something. And in this case, it was a little girl. So of course, everybody's like, it's close to their heart. You want to help out this little girl, and it's something dire as well. So it's completely serious, and there's so much of an emotional wave that goes with it. You find out that somebody is in trouble and you drop everything and you run to help them. And it turns out that they made up the story that they made up that they needed help. That sticks with people. And so in her situation, on the third time when she cried wolf, people weren't here for it. People were not willing to drop anything to go save her. People were not willing to run after this little girl. So they all decided not to. And it was that third time where she actually did run into the wolf. And that third time, when nobody came to help her, when she needed help, when she actually needed help, there's no help to be found. And so that's where this portion of the SMART concept comes into play, right? When you're in need and you need help, seek help and make sure that it's real. Because if it's not, the next time that you reach out and seek help, no matter how serious or dire the situation is, it's possible that people will be put off from your previous fake requests, and they will not be willing to help you out this time when you actually need it. So make sure that it's real. And then the last one is make sure that it's time bound, right? So to close out SMART, make sure that it's time bound. Make sure that your request for help it comes with a time frame. When do you need the help by? And that's for a few different reasons, right? One, that allows you to communicate when you need the help by, and it allows you to acknowledge for yourself and to that person that you're seeking help from when you need the help by. You can ask for help and somebody might say, sure, yeah, I'll help you. And if you are not clear on when you need the help, then that help may drag on for eons. And before you know it, it's too late, because your deadline or whatever you had going on has already passed, and you're still stuck with the need and necessity of you seeking help. And if it's real, if it's really necessary for you to get that help and you don't put a time frame on it, and somebody does drag out the time that in which they do help out, then you're going to find yourself in a situation where you don't receive the help that you need in time. So make sure to communicate your time frame. That's something that I also have personally experienced. I got into a situation where I needed help with my business, and there was a particular project I was working on, and there was a specific person in mind that I knew could help me handle it. And so I reached out, hey, I need help, blah, blah, blah. And I did not communicate when I needed the help by. And so in my mind, they're working on it. And mind you, I'm staying it's a project of my business. So I'm still working on all the other aspects of my business. I'm still handling everything else. I'm still working on different things. And before you know it, or before I knew it, I guess, it was a few weeks or a couple weeks out from when I needed, to have that whole project complete. And when I reached out at that point in time, they really have not made any progress with the help that I needed. And so it put me kind of in a situation where I made an executive decision to just scrap the project all completely. And so it was, again, that failure asking for the project or that help to be done in a certain amount of time, that really, came back to bite me because, I didn't communicate when I needed the help by. And you don't want to find yourself in a situation like that because trust me, it's not the funnest situation to be in. Now, so to wrap up, again, SMART refers to being specific about the help that you need, being meaningful and making sure that you communicate why you need the help, being action oriented to make sure that the help you receive will actually help you achieve the goal or get through the situation or the task that you need, being real, making sure that you don't put out a false help alarm, and being time bound, making sure that you get the help in the appropriate time that you need. So to wrap up, make sure that you guys are seeking help. Make sure that you are willing to be vulnerable, and you have to be. And again, it takes strength to be that vulnerable, where you're asking and acknowledging that you need help, and seek the help that you need. It'll get you a lot further, a lot quicker. With that being said, again, my name's Jeremy Patton, and thank you all for tuning in. Remember to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and share this podcast. Share any of my previous episodes with somebody that you know that might need it, or should share it on your timeline because you never know who may need it. And until next time, y'all take care.